Welcome back, Midnight Readers. We are jumping right back into Confusion in a Small Town, following up from where we left off last week. Just a little recap. So far in this story, we've learned that the MC's best friend, that is a female, had a secret and didn't want to deal with it and skipped town. And nobody's heard from her for a year now, since her mother's passing. Her male best friend admitted that he let her believe that he was into guys, but he's not. He's actually into her. She didn't handle it well, but she didn't handle it poorly either. She just told him she needed time to, think. And he ends up getting something from one of his friends, and he takes it while drinking at a bar, and it lands him in the hospital. She has agreed, feeling guilty, she's agreed to be his caretaker and help make sure he gets back on his feet and everything's okay. She's now caring for him in his house. She kind of got into it with him. She kind of let him have it and told him, that she couldn't believe he'd do something so stupid and that she thought he was weak. And he should have just been a good friend, pretty much, and waited for her to take the time she needed to process everything and let her just talk to him the next day like she had requested. And he finally spoke to her. He hadn't spoken to her since all this happened, and he finally spoke to her, and, he told her, you think that's what I did? You think I wanted to hurt myself? Don't you think that you already hurt me enough? And so that's where we're at. And then her female best friend, the brother, who was coming in and out of the picture all the time, he texts her and lets her know, hey, our friend that hooked him up with the pill that he took, it says to please tell him how sorry he is, that he didn't mean for any of this to happen, and if there's anything that he can do to please let him know. Immediately she knows that something's up, and maybe Josh, her best friend, didn't realize what he was taking or what it was going to do when he mixed it with a drink. And so now she's wondering who's really at fault, and did she just make a big mistake accusing him of all these things, including being weak, when it may not have been his fault at all. And so her head's spinning. She doesn't know where she's at. She's supposed to be, there for her best friend's brother because his mom passed away exactly a year ago that day. And now she's torn between going to him and having to talk to him about what his friend gave Josh and having to actually care for Josh. So yeah, it's kind of a whirlwind right now for her, if you will. But that's where we're jumping right back in at, okay? Ready? Let's go. On my way, I text him back. Without saying a word, I left Josh's house and headed to Derek's. When I got there, I could see Derek doing pull-ups inside his house. How I wished things were simpler, and I could just sit here and enjoy watching the beautiful view. I took a deep breath and headed to the door. I guess he had seen me walking up, because as soon as I got to the top step of his porch, the door opened. Hey, he said with a big smile, giving me a big hug. Come on in. How you hanging in there? Okay, I guess. That is, if arguing like children counts as okay. I said, still feeling a bit frustrated. Well, I guess that's better than nothing, he said, trying to make light of the situation. Can you put on a shirt? That's a bit distracting, I joked. It was cute how he got all shy when I said that. His smile was so big that his dimples looked even deeper than usual. No, I think I'll sleep just like this if that's the case, he joked back. Remembering he said he had something important to tell me, I asked, so what's up? What did Byron say? Oh yeah, you probably want to sit down. Before I say anything, just keep in mind that he was trying to help him, and he never meant for anything bad to happen. So, Byron told me that he ran into Josh last night, I guess after he came here to talk to you? He didn't say why, but he said Josh was really upset. So I gave him something to try to help, kind of just help ease him through it. The effects were only supposed to last for a little less than a day. Oh, I know. I already talked to Byron earlier. I started to explain. Hold on. There's more. I guess Byron might have forgotten to tell him an important detail. You're never supposed to drink with it. I mean, it usually goes without saying. It's kind of common knowledge. What? Byron swore that he had told Josh not to drink. He said that he had definitely told him. I can't believe this. I just got into an argument with Josh, and I might have said some things, well, a bunch of things really, that were way off base. I called him a jerk and weak. When truth be told, he's one of the strongest guys I know. I can't believe this. I mean, I'll totally get it if he never wants to speak to me again. Hey, you didn't know. He'll forgive you. He's your best friend. Just give him a little space and try to start fresh tomorrow, he said with a reassuring tone. I guess, I said, knowing he was oblivious to how things had changed. Look, why don't you just stay here for a little bit, relax, and I'll help you figure out what to say. How does that sound? He suggested. It's worth a try. We went up to the living room, and he put on a movie. Don't be so hard on yourself, he said as he put his arms around me. You know, I'm here for you if you need anything. He really was a good guy, and again, I had to remind myself of what he was going through as well. After a minute, I finally responded. I'm here for you too. You know that, right? I know, he said, giving me a little squeeze. After the movie was over, I realized I better go check on Josh. Hey, I should go, I said a bit reluctantly. Okay, well, I can make us late dinner if you want to come back later, he offered. Sure, that sounds great, I replied. Great, he said with a big smile. With that, I was off. Once at Josh's, I went to check on him, and sure enough, he was still in bed. Do you need anything? I asked. When he didn't respond, I continued sarcastically. Besides an attitude adjustment? I had said it without thinking. It just sort of slipped out. Truthfully, I felt a little guilty remembering the truth that Byron had admitted. I knew I owed Josh an apology, but just had to find the right way to say it. I brought him some water and a snack. I turned on the TV and sat down next to him. I'm going to head out for the night, but I'll be back first thing in the morning. Try to get some rest, I said as I turned the light out and walked out the door. Once back at Derek's, I could smell the food from outside. It smelled amazing. Throughout dinner, he kept tapping his feet against mine under the table and gave me cute little sideways smiles. I loved how, although often serious, he had a playful side as well. Time flew, and before I knew it, it was 2 a.m. Do you want to just sleep here tonight? I know you've had a long day. Don't worry. I promise to be a perfect gentleman, he said with a little smile. Yeah, that actually sounds good, I replied. I didn't feel like driving home, and really didn't want to be alone either. I guess it just sort of felt comfortable sleeping here, as I had slept over with Jesse so many times before. When I awoke the next morning, I was a little surprised to find him lying behind me, holding me tightly. I could feel the warmth of his body pressed against mine. Chills went down my spine as he ran his fingers over my neck and across my shoulders. I have to admit that as I fully woke up, I was shocked. He had always been such a gentleman, and shy. Now, I'm not saying he was doing anything wrong, but it just didn't seem like something he would do. I noticed a note on the pillow next to me with my name on it. It read, You look so peaceful sleeping, didn't want to wake you. I'm going for my morning jog, and then I'll go pick us up some breakfast. See you in a bit. I could feel my heart pounding. If Derek left, who was behind me? I tried to move a little to see who it was without being obvious. When I did, the person pulled me in closer. They brushed my hair away from my face and whispered in my ear, I missed you. I didn't want to move. This wasn't happening. I pulled the covers back and sat up. It was Jessie. She was laying there in just her underwear. I don't even know what to say, I started. I know. It's okay. Let me do the talking. I have a lot of explaining to do, she said. She went on to explain that she had come back after getting what sounded like a drunk message from Josh, telling her everything that had happened. She felt so guilty. She had to come back and set the record straight. She told me about how after Josh met me for the first time, he wouldn't shut up about me. She wasn't willing to lose me to him, so she tricked him into playing along with a lie, making him think that it was the only way he could be part of my life. She continued to explain that she had feelings for me too, and had confided in him, making him swear to secrecy until she figured it out. She didn't want to disappoint the family by making an announcement like that right after her mother's death, and didn't want to feel like she was in competition with her brother over me. She knew she didn't have to worry about Josh, because, well, she had him right where she wanted him, on the sidelines. At that point, she felt she had no other option but to go away and figure things out. Just then, my mind was flooded with memories. All the times she walked in and wanted to cuddle together at night during sleepovers, always making me tie her bikini and refusing to let Josh. The way she'd just come in and stared at me while I was in the shower. I shook my head. I couldn't believe I hadn't seen it sooner. What I'm saying is that although I don't want to tell you to do this, I wouldn't be a very good friend if I didn't. Go give Josh a chance to tell you everything he's been trying to. It's not his fault. He really does care about you, she said. Just then I jumped when I heard Derek's voice. What the hell's going on, Jessie? Not now, Derek. she snapped back. Yes, now, Jesse, he replied. You were standing there. You heard it all. Do you really need me to repeat it? She said with an attitude, making it clear she had known he had been standing there all along. No, I just need to clear things up. First off, he started to say, turning to look at me. You didn't know Josh liked you? You seriously thought he was gay? This entire time, I had thought that you knew, and you guys had worked it out to just be friends. If I would have known that wasn't the case, I would have never... He continued to say and then stopped. Would have never what? I questioned. Would have never told you how I feel. I would have just let things be. He said, looking as though he had just been defeated in some sort of big tournament. Really? You don't think choosing who I like or who I care about should be up to me? I questioned, starting to get frustrated. What? Jesse and Derek both said simultaneously. What? I asked, a bit confused by why they both had been so shocked by what I said. What are you saying? You like my brother? More than Josh? Jesse said in a mischievous voice. They both just stared at me. Then kiss him, Jesse said seemingly out of nowhere. What? I questioned. See, watch, she said as she ran up and kissed me dead on the lips. See, even though I feel something, there's nothing there. Now kiss Derek and figure out if you really like him as much as you think you do. What? No, not like this. I have to go, I said as I hurried out of the room. Derek stopped me at the bottom of the stairs and grabbed my arm. Not like that, but like this, he said as he kissed me on the cheek. I'm sorry about my sister. I had no idea that she was going to show up like this and all of a sudden be insane. Go do what you need to do. I'll deal with Jesse, he said. I couldn't wrap my mind around what had just happened. I walked out to my car and sat there for a good couple of minutes. How could I have not known that my straight best friend was gay and my gay best friend was straight? A part of me felt like a failure as a friend. Then, there was Derek, whose feelings I had been so oblivious to that he ended up in the same boat as them. Although I wanted to go wrap myself up in the blankets and hide, I took a deep breath and drove over to Josh's house. I knocked and went in. He was still in bed. He hadn't touched the food or drinks. Hey, I said softly. I wasn't surprised when I didn't get a response. I really hadn't been expecting one. Honestly, this time, I don't think I deserved one. Josh, I'm sorry. I had said a lot of things out of anger and hurt, which I probably shouldn't have. I truly do think you're amazing. I don't want you to think anything otherwise, I attempted to explain. Without moving whatsoever, he responded, It's fine. Don't worry about not having those kind of feelings for me. I don't feel that way about you either. I just wanted to see if you'd be willing to hear me out if I tried to make a confession like that to you. I really just wanted to see if you truly were my best friend. We see how that turned out. But don't worry. I'm not interested in girls, remember? I was stunned. I didn't even know what to say to that. He was just talking out of hurt and anger, right? There was no way that all this had been a test. No, Jesse wouldn't be here, talking and acting crazy if that were the case. After being silent for a few long moments, I finally responded. I don't believe you. Why would you even say that? What? Does it bother you to know that I don't like you like that? I thought that's how you wanted it. It's how you like it. You seem to like it that way for the last few years. He fired back. Josh, I don't want to play games. If you truly don't have feelings for me, then look me in the eyes and tell me. I insisted. He didn't move and refused to look at me. I felt beyond frustrated. How had it gone in this direction? I had been trying to apologize. I was a bit flabbergasted by the amount of immaturity he was now displaying. Even at his lowest points, when he had been the most upset or angry throughout the past few years, never had I witnessed him like this. Josh, why are you being such a jerk right now? I asked, almost unable to get out the words. Look, I don't want to deal with this anymore, he said in a bitter tone. What are you saying? You don't want to deal with me anymore? Would it really be better without me in your life? I questioned. I don't know, he replied. You don't know? Are you serious? So much for me supposedly being the person you care about most, not to mention your best friend. You're willing to let me walk away just like that? I said, trying not to burst into tears. He didn't even bother to answer. Fine, I'm gonna go. Sorry for any pain that I've caused you. I never meant to hurt you. That was the last thing I'd ever wanted. But let's not forget that the person that I trusted and cared about more than anyone had played me for a fool. You hurt me too. I said as tears streamed down my face. I ran out to my car. I couldn't move. I finally pulled it together and instinctively called Jessie to tell her how everything had derailed so drastically and seemed to have fallen apart. I thought that I'd calmed myself enough to call, but when she answered, I couldn't help but burst into tears all over again. "Where are you?" she asked. "Outside of Josh's," I tearfully answered. "I'll be there in 5, she said and hung up. Next thing I knew, she ran up to my car, climbed into the passenger seat, and hugged me. I told her everything that had happened. "Damn it, this is all my fault," she said as she looked as though to be deep in thought. "I've got it," she explained. "Come on." She said she jumped out of the car and pulled me out with her. She dragged me by the hand up to the door. "No, I don't think I should go in there right now," I started to say as she opened the door and pulled me in. She whispered in my ear, "Go to the bathroom. Trust me. This might be your only chance for a while." Too emotionally drained to even contemplate what she was up to this time, I decided that I better listen. When I came out, he was still laying face down and ignoring Jessie. "Wow, he really is not fun right now. I'm sorry to have to do this to you," she said as she pulled me by the wrist over to him. "Sit down," she said. I sat down as she grabbed his wrist, which had a handcuff on it. "Wait, what are you doing?" I started to say when she snapped the other cuff on my wrist. She grabbed my phone from my pocket and went and put it on the bar in the kitchen. With that, she looked back and yelled, "I'll come back to check on you later," and left. "Wait, what? Jessie! Get back here! What do you think you're doing? Jessie!" I pleaded. It was too late. She was gone. I was stuck in the most awkward situation of my life. I was literally stuck with a guy who was supposed to be my best friend, yet just moments earlier told me he wanted nothing to do with me anymore. I couldn't help but cry. He finally moved a little bit. When he did, the handcuff yanked my arm. I yanked it right back. I tried to roll over to my side. "What's wrong with you? Is it that awful to be here with me?" he said with bitterness in his voice. "Seriously? Right now?" "Yes," I responded. He made a noise and was silent again. A moment later, there was another yank on the handcuffs. I didn't move. I longed for a tissue to wipe my tears. The last thing I wanted was for him to see me like this, but there was no way for me to get to the bathroom, let alone off the bed. We were both silent for a long time. I felt so incredibly angry with him. I wanted to scream. Not able to hold it in anymore, I took the pillow out from behind my head, took aim, and smack, hit him in the back of the head. "Humph," I said. It made me feel a little bit better for about 2 seconds. However, when it did not provoke a response whatsoever, all the awful thoughts flooded back in once again. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and thought about how all of this had started just the other day. I remembered how we had had an amazing day at the bay. As I thought about it, certain parts began to stand out, like how he held my hand as we climbed over the cliffs, and how he gave me his hoodie when it started to get cold. Then I recalled when we had gone to the park a bit later. For the first time ever, I heard him raise his voice when he thought Derek was disrespecting me by not answering me. It all started to make sense. Then it hit me. The compulsive texting me when he thought that I was starting to like another guy made perfect sense. And oh God, it was painful to even remember how he had pleaded with me not to go as I just walked away. Should I have listened to my heart and run back to him that night instead of forcing myself to listen to my head and my anger and walking away? Despite how I had been feeling, as his best friend, I should have never left him like that. I began to contemplate why I had acted so selfishly. Then I realized that I had been so angry because I had spent so long convincing myself that the only way I could ever be with him was as a friend, and forcing myself to not let my mind wander, despite how badly I wanted to from time to time. That had been extremely difficult, to say the least. To find out now that it had all been for nothing, and to top it off he had lied to me, was the worst feeling in the world. I suppose I was really only upset because I was hurt. However, I had no idea how to put that notion into words so that he would understand. Now here we were, with him making assumptions about my feelings for him. The worst part was the fact he was letting it affect his choices, and now that he's not eating and drinking, his health. I didn't know what to do to fix this. To make matters worse, he was doing now what I did that night, pushing me away because he is hurt. I wish I could just tell him that I'm sorry for everything and how I truly have felt all this time, and then everything would be better. But he knows me too well. Even if my feelings weren't true, he knows I would do or say just about anything I had to in order to help him get better. So, There'd be no way he'd believe me if I told him I had feelings for him now. The situation seemed impossible. I went to reach up to tap him on the shoulder, forgetting that we were still cuffed together, and yanked the cuffs pretty hard. He rolled over and looked at me. "What's your problem?" he said. His eyes were red, and he looked like hell. You?" I started to say when he rolled over, cutting me off. "Okay, well, I was going to say you not talking to me or listening to me for that matter." I continued saying to the back of his head, "I'm listening. I can't exactly go anywhere," he said sarcastically. "Yeah, thanks," I responded sarcastically back. "Fine. You may be set on convincing yourself not to care about me right now, or maybe you have truly stopped. But at least care about yourself. You haven't eaten in 2 days now. You have to eat for your body to heal itself. Come on, let's get to the kitchen." He didn't respond. That was it. I knew I had to do anything in my power to get through to him. It was time to step it up. I grabbed him by his shoulder and forced him to roll over. He attempted to turn back, so I climbed on top of him. "You need to stop being so stubborn and hard-headed. You have 2 choices right now. Either you can have a real conversation with me, or we can go get you some food," I said forcefully. He mumbled under his breath. Hard-headed and heartbroken are 2 different things, but whatever. "I thought you liked guys," I said with a smirk. Not amused, he tried to push me off of him, so I held on tighter. "You didn't answer me. Which is it, food or talk?" I asked again. "Food," he said. I was disappointed that was his choice, yet I couldn't be too upset about it because he really did need to eat. I climbed off and we headed to the kitchen together. The cuff hurt as it pulled on my wrist every time we moved. I decided to go out on a limb and grab his hand. I was surprised when he held mine back. I was even more surprised when he didn't let go as he started getting food out. As we sat at the table, I sipped on the bottle of tea I'd left there earlier while he ate. I quickly wished I hadn't drunk the tea, as I remembered that using the restroom would be a little difficult to do while cuffed to him. I hoped that I didn't have to go anytime soon. He started to get up and put his dishes in the sink. I was forced to follow. He led me out to the couch. We sat there in silence for a few moments. It was sort of awkward, as he didn't even turn on the TV. "Okay, now, the only option left is talk," I said with a smile. "I don't have anything left to say. We both said what we needed to," he said, looking down at the ground. "I don't think so. You've told me 2 very different stories. I still think that you have something left to tell me. The same thing I've left to tell you. The truth," I said. "Why do you keep on insisting me reliving that? Don't you think it was bad enough the first time?" "No. It's important that we talk about this so there will be no more confusion or what-ifs." He looked at me for a moment and then looked away again. "I can't," he said. "I can't do this." With that, he got up and attempted to storm off to the bathroom. I think he had forgotten that we were cuffed, as he yanked me halfway down the hall before slowing down. He turned on the water in the sink and splashed his face. He began to dry his face on the towel on the back of the door when he did something that completely caught me off guard. He punched the wall and slid down with his back against the door. I knelt down and lifted his head, wiping the tear away from his eye. He closed his eyes and leaned his head back against the wall. I wondered what he was thinking. Just then, he surprised me by telling me, "You want to know the truth? I've been crazy about you since the day that I first laid eyes on you. I fell for you a long time ago, and because of you, I've learned what it feels like to have your heart broken into. I know you don't have those feelings for me, and it kills me to know that I've lost my best friend." He stopped mid-sentence, unable to say more. Without thinking about it, I leaned in and kissed his cheek, wiped his tears away, and, almost impulsively, kissed his lips. "You haven't lost anything," I whispered. He didn't do anything but hug me. I hadn't really expected that. I had thought he would have been happy, would have said something, would have smiled, something, anything. Finally, he leaned back and looked at me. "I'm sorry for the way I've acted. I've made some really bad choices, and..." I cut him off. "I'm sorry, too. I made some choices that I'll forever regret, and I never want you out of my life," I started to say when he surprised me by cutting me off. "Let me finish. I never want you to feel obligated to act a certain way or do certain things on my account," he said, and then paused to reach into his pocket. He pulled out the handcuff key and unlocked the cuff. "If you like Derek, go ahead and see him. I'll still be here, even if it is just as your best friend." "What the hell?" I blurted out. I couldn't wrap my head around what was happening. I had just surrendered to him, finally showed him how I felt, all these years, and he tells me to go to someone else? And how the hell did he get the handcuff key? Alright guys, what do you think? Woo! That's a good spot to stop. Alright, see you next time for more confusion in a small town. Good night and sweet dreams.